Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am going to do the February reading wrap-up. I'm finally finished with all of the books that I read, and I am finally able to record it and show you guys what I read and the spreads that I created in my reading journal. So if you remember, for the theme for February, I did an Encanto theme, and this is for the movie that came out on Disney Plus. And this is how the main spread came out. Then I did my calendar. I have a few things here that I scheduled, or I try to schedule. And then basically what I wanted to do here is just mark the day I started a book and any days that I was reading that specific book, and then the days that I would finish it. So if I finished that day, I would make sure to mark that I finished that book. Again, this is the same thing that I always do every month. I mark if I'm reading a physical book, an audiobook, a book that I own, a book that is borrowed from the library, if I journal that day, and what application am I using. It looks like mostly I used Hoopla, and I will let you know which ones I listen from Hoopla and which ones I listen from Libby. I listened to a little bit of the books that I had on the Libby app, and then I also had a book on Audible. This is the list of books that I read throughout the month. I don't know how, but I managed to read 10 books this month. Some of them are pretty short and some of them are middle grade, so they were easy to read. But again, I think there's one novella, so it's really short. But anyway, yeah, I managed to read 10 books this month. The total amount of pages I read was 987 pages, and on audiobook I read 60 hours on audio. Okay, so for the two read-alongs, I didn't manage to finish either one of the books, but I did read a little bit of both of them. I read The Poppy War, and by Erica from The Broken Spine is doing the read-along, and we read The Poppy War. I didn't finish that book. However, this was a reread for me, so I did watch the live show, and it was interesting to see everybody else's perspective, and I am still trying to finish that book. Also, for the Realm of Comics, hosted by Ashley and Bree, they were reading Far Sector by M.K. Jemisin. This one I didn't finish it either, but I am trying to get that one finished this month. So as far as the genres, I read a total of 5 romance, but 3 of them were historical romance books, and I read 2 middle grades. The only fantasy I didn't include it here because I didn't finish it was The Poppy War. It's a fantasy book, but like I said, since I didn't finish it, I didn't want to include it here. I read 2 nonfiction books, and one of the books was a short story and the other one was a collection of poems. And then books that I read that I actually owned were 3 out of the 10 that I read in total, and 7 of them were borrowed from the library. So the first book that I have here, and these books are not in any particular order. This is not in the order that I read them. This is just how I wanted to have them here in my journal. So here we go. So the first book that I have here is What the Eyes Don't See by Dr. Mona Hannah Atisa. I believe that's how you say her name. I apologize if I mispronounce her name. And this is a book about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. And I actually read this one for school. We had to read, we had a discussion, and we had to write an essay about this. And I'm very excited about this book because the author is going to be coming to our school and talk about the water crisis, and you know how it could still be a problem in our country. So I have a lot of notes that I took because as I was reading, I was taking notes, and obviously I was taking notes for my class. So I have a lot of notes, I have a lot of quotes that I wanted to keep. And so I really like this book. It's heartbreaking to think that in America there are places that we don't have clean water, and it could still be such a big problem here in our country. And it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that we can make something like having clean water a something political, something that, you know, it could be negotiated when it's a right. We all have the right to have clean water, to make sure that we're giving our kids clean water. And it's just there's so much to talk about with this book. There's still conversations and discussions that we are having in our class, and I don't think I will ever stop talking about this book. So just to show you, this is my physical copy of What the Eyes Don't See. I have so many tabs. I wrote so much, and you know, as well as this, all my notes that I have from this book. It's just, this is a book that I definitely will go back and reread. And I mean, this woman poured her soul into writing this book, and it was just so important for her to give us all the details of everything, like all the data that she was going through. I mean, she was just like so thorough. So the next book that I have here is The Crossover by Kwame Alexander. This is a work of fiction, and it's the story is told in poems, and it is very good. Kwame Alexander is an excellent writer. This is the second book that I have actually read by him, and I enjoyed his writing thoroughly, and I cannot wait to read more from him. And if you saw this is actually a book, I don't have the physical copy. I borrowed it from my school. But if you saw the library haul that I did a few weeks ago, you would have seen me showing you the actual book. And it is the cover is such a, the naked cover of the book is in the texture is like a basketball. So I thought it was pretty cool. So if you want to see the cover of the hardcover book, you can watch my library haul and you'll see it there. I will be buying this book eventually because I just like the book. I like the format of how he does his poems, how he changes the font and changes I mean, it's just like such an experience to read his poems. So I really liked it. I also, because I was going to have to return that book to my school, I have in a completely different notebook here, I have a certain notes that I wanted to keep, and certain poems that I really liked, quotes that I really liked that I wanted to keep. And because I was not done with this one, I just decided to grab another notebook and write them here. So the next books that I read were some historical romance. I read the Destiny Trilogy by Beverly Jenkins, and this is a story about a family in California. The first book is about Logan, which is the older brother, then the middle brother Andrew, and then the youngest brother Noah. I gave the first book 4 stars. The other 2 I gave 3 stars. I listened to all 3 of these using Hoopla through my library. So yeah, my favorite was definitely this one about Logan and Mariah. I really like Logan as a main character. I like Mariah even more. She's a very strong character, and even though her background story is heartbreaking, she manages to overcome that. If you are a person that likes to read the trigger warnings before reading a book, I would suggest to read the trigger warnings for this one. On the other two, I really like the female characters. And this one I believe is Billy. I love Billy. She was just so funny, and I don't know. I liked the female characters more than I liked the male characters. The brothers kind of got on my nerves sometimes, especially Andrew. Andrew, plenty of times, he really got on my nerves, but I really enjoyed the story nonetheless. And then on this one, the female character, main character, her name is Pilar. I really liked her too. I thought she was just such a strong character in the story, and this is actually the longest one out of the three, and I managed to finish that just because I really liked Pilar, and I like her sister too. She was funny. But yeah, I really liked this author. These are my first books by this author, but I would definitely read some more from her because I really liked her writing. I liked her style of the historical romance, so I will look up. Hoopla has a bunch of her books, so I will definitely be reading more from her. And if a few years ago you would have told me that I was going to be reading romance with sexy shirtless men in the cover, I would have said, no, that's not me. I don't do that. Well, now, yes, this is me. I do read that, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself and will be reading more. The next one I have here, which is actually one of the first books that I finished in the month. So that's why I said these are all over the place. I wanted to keep the romance books in one spread and make them pretty. So I read Electric Idol by Katie Robert. This is the second book in the Dark Olympus series. I read the first one last year. I liked this one a whole lot more than the first book. So this one was so good. And this one is a story about Psyche and Eros, and I just love them together so much. So I know I heard a lot of low ratings and negative comments about the first book. So if you are thinking about maybe not picking up the second book because the first book was not so good, I would encourage you to pick this one up because this one is 10 times better, 100 times better. I love this book. Then I have these two middle grade. I had to read these two for school as well, and the class that I'm at, they're reading these two books. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that I read the book, and if the kids had any questions or anything like that, that I was able to answer the questions. I am placed at a 5th grade class, and first they read Holes, and they just finished it and started Maniac McGee. They're very short books, and they're middle grade, easy to read. So I finished them right away. I actually, for both of these, I did a blended read. I was able to get the audiobook through Libby, using my library, and then I got the physical copy from the teacher at the school. So I did a blended read for both of these, and like I said, pretty fast, pretty easy. They're okay books. They're about, I think I gave both of them 3 stars on Goodreads. Pretty standard books. They're okay. I'm just enjoying being able to read them with the kids. And it's a totally different experience when you get to read it and discuss it in the classroom or with somebody else. So that's the part that I'm really enjoying more than the actual story. And then the last book I have here is Dreams for Many Rivers. This is by Margarita Engel, and this is a collection of short stories. It is a Hispanic history of the United States told in poems. This came out in 2019, but I recently found out about this book. Through TikTok. I will have a link on the description box for the person who made this TikTok. He is actually, I think he's from New York, and he has a bookstore. So he does a lot of recommendations of books from Latin American authors or Latinx authors. So I love listening to all of his recommendations, and I think out of all the booktalkers that I have seen, or some of them that I follow, he's probably the only one that I would actually listen to his recommendations and take note to them, because he tends to recommend a lot of Latinx authors, and I really like that. And this book did not disappoint. It's very short. I also found it in Hoopla. It is an hour and 45 minutes because, like I said, it's really short stories told in poems, and so it goes by really fast, but it is so good. It did not disappoint. So if you need recommendations from Latinx authors, I highly recommend you follow this booktalker. Like I said, I will have his link in the description box. And yeah, in this book, like I said, if you have the opportunity to read it, especially if you are Hispanic or Latino, this is an excellent book to read. Those are the books that I read in February. Sorry, it took me forever to actually finish the spreads, but I really like how everything turned out. If you have read any of these books, please let me know in the comments. Let me know if you like them. And yeah, let me know your comments about any of the books that I've read, or if you read a favorite book this month. Let me know in the comments. I will use those as recommendations so I can, put them in my TBR, my never-ending TBR. And yeah, let me know what you read, what was your favorite thing. If you have any questions about my spreads or how I create them, I try to record as much as I can, but sometimes it's just too much to be trying to be creative and then recording at the same time and finding the time to actually record it. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and hopefully I will see you very soon with my next video. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.